Hello everyone, and welcome to another podcast from Intrepid English. My name is Lida, and I'm an English teacher and a director of studies here at Intrepid English. Today, I'm going to tell you about modal verbs and how to use them in negotiations. What are negotiations? Negotiating in English can seem daunting at first, but the Oxford English Dictionary describes negotiation as a discussion aimed at reaching an agreement. It's likely you engaged in negotiation in English, or your language, daily without even thinking about it. Using modal verbs in negotiations can help you express attitude, add more nuance, and remain polite. Have you ever asked your boss for a pay rise or agreed on a new role? Chances are you used some negotiation techniques. Have you tried to plan an office party or a birthday surprise for a colleague? You probably had to negotiate the details with others. Have you ever tried to persuade someone to make you your favorite dinner? You may have even offered something in return to sweeten the deal. Negotiating is not just about getting your way. If one side gets their way, then the other side may leave disappointed and discouraged. A successful negotiation leaves everyone satisfied. This is why it's crucial to make sure to stay polite throughout any negotiations. What are modal verbs? We use modals to express things that are wanted, allowed, or likely. Most modal verbs have multiple different meanings depending on the context. In this podcast, we will only focus on some examples of modal verbs used for politeness. Can and could. In addition to expressing permission, possibility, and ability, can and could are used for polite requests. Generally, could is more polite and indirect than can, but both are considered polite requests. Using can and could gives the other party the ability to refuse if something is preventing them. The following 4 sentences express the same thing but with different levels of politeness. To show you the nuances better, we arrange them from the least to most polite. Pay close attention to the differences in word choices. Can you hear the difference? Number 1. The deadline for the sample is next week. Number 2. We need the sample next week. Is that possible? Number 3. Can you deliver a sample next week? Number 4. Could you deliver a sample next week? May and might. If you wish to be polite and formal when requesting something, you can use may. Similarly, you can use it to give permission or a suggestion. You can use might to make polite suggestions. When using may and might to make suggestions, you should make sure you sound genuine and not patronizing or mocking. Listen to the following sentences and their uses. Can you rephrase each example sentence without using may? Number 1. You may go now. Here, may is used to give permission. Number 2. May I say something? In this sentence, may is used to ask for permission. Number 3. We may need to delay the shipment if we can't get it done today. In this example and the next one, may is used to make a suggestion. You might want to call the supplier after the meeting. Would. In addition to conditional sentences and will in the past, would is used in many polite sentences and negotiating. You can use it to talk about your desires and preferences. In those cases, it's often paired with words such as love, hope, and rather. It expresses willingness or consent, and in questions, it's used for polite requests. Listen to the following sentences. Can you hear the subtle differences in meaning? Number 1. I would rather show you around the factory tomorrow. Here we use it for preference. Number 2. Would you call me after the meeting finishes? In this sentence, I'm making a polite request. Number 3. No one would confess to stealing the food from the fridge, so we installed cameras. In this sentence, would expresses willingness or the lack of willingness. Number 4. Would you like some water? In this example, would is used to express desire. And finally, number 5. Is there no way they would share their software with us? So here we're talking about either willingness or consent. When used for requests, would focuses on willingness, whereas can and could focus on ability. To illustrate this, here is the same sentence but using can, could, and would. Can you deliver a sample next week? Could you deliver a sample next week? Would you deliver a sample next week? The differences between these 3 sentences are subtle, but it's important to know and recognize them. Must for logical deductions. The modal verb must is one of the most common ways to talk about obligations. Additionally, you can use must to express a logical deduction or a strong assumption. It can also be more polite than a more direct statement about the same topic. The following 2 sentences can sound a bit harsh. If we use must in them instead, it can soften the statement a bit. First one, I expect her to be nearly done with the project. And second one, you are probably having problems with keeping up with the demand. Now, we can change them to use must to she must be nearly done with the project and it must be challenging to keep up with the demand right now. Should. Finally, we come to should. Most often, we use the modal verb should for advice. In negotiating, you can also utilize it as a soft demand. Listen to the following 2 examples. You should review the prototype before we move on to the next step. The shipment should arrive before the end of the month. Similarly to must, you can also use should for logical deductions. She should be nearly done with the project. The construction should be finished on time. What can you expect from the Business English Skill Set Negotiations course? Throughout the course, you will find a wide variety of examples and you will work with your own work context. This course has 4 chapters providing an overview of negotiation techniques, vocabulary, and grammar specific to negotiating. You will find coursework, quizzes, business-related articles, podcasts, and TED Talks throughout the course. Book a free trial lesson today and talk about your learning goals with an experienced English teacher. Content was written and recorded by Lida. If you have any questions or you would like to request a topic for a future podcast, you can post it on any of our social media pages or contact us through our website intrepidenglish.co.uk. Thank you for listening and have a great day.